Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, everybody. Welcome back to another pre-market stream. Sorry I haven't been on in a couple days. Been a busy time. Well, kind of busy, but still busy. Still busy. Felt a little under the weather and a couple other things going on. So good morning to everybody. So in recent news, it looks like the stimulus bill has been passed or reached an agreement of a $2 trillion stimulus bill. So that I think is still waiting to be released, but there is talks that it's finally kind of passed through the Senate and we've come to an agreement. So I think shortly or soon enough we'll be able to see exactly what's in that bill. I haven't had the time to go through and read it, but sure enough I will. There's been a lot of talks about what the government's going to get out of it, what corporations are going to get out of it, and what the people are going to get out of it. I have just kind of held off on waiting to read any little bit into it until it actually gets passed, because at that point, that's what becomes real. Everything up until that point is really just talk. So again, I think the news of, the stimulus bill getting passed might be there kind of helping the markets stay a little bit calmer, maybe, but again, I don't think it's going to be able to fix the overall issue myself. All right, guys, so let's take a look at the SPY real quick. Good morning, John and Nano, everybody. So, yeah, the past maybe 2 days, or was it just 1 day? Yeah, call it 2 days. We've been kind of bouncing pretty good here in the market. So, for the past 2 days, we've had a pretty significant bounce from 217 all the way to 250, right? So, for those thinking that the market hasn't bounced or isn't bouncing, it is. It has. It's bounced from 217 all the way to 250. That's a pretty ginormous bounce. It's not a big enough bounce to really change a big direction, to start a new trend per se on a longer time frame. But it did bounce almost 40 points or so, or 30 points or whatnot. All right. Any thoughts on KOS, CLNY, and possibility they may receive something from the stimulus? I mean, yeah, so there's a lot of companies in talks of receiving stimulus. So, I don't know exactly even what KOS is off the top of my head, or CLNY. I've seen them cross my scanners over the past couple days. And yeah, so I mean, let's see. What's the daily chart look like here on them? I mean, yeah, there's going to be a reversal on them. They'll have a bounce, but, even before the stimulus, they've been a downtrending company. So, yeah, you'll probably see maybe some type of reverse on it, but I wouldn't probably even do it. I mean, look at the last time. In 2017, look at how it dropped, and then look at how it traded. There wasn't even that good of a reversal. So, is this time the same? Do you get a reversal? Maybe. I would probably pass on those. I think there's better opportunity in the market than maybe what you were looking at there. All right, so a couple things that, a couple things we're watching here. Let me shrink this down a bit. Again, something that we're keeping a close eye on is still the gold market. GLD, SLV, silver. As we mentioned, I strongly felt that we would be seeing a bull run continue on gold and silver throughout maybe the next couple of years. We had this really big shakeout in the gold market over the past, call it 2 weeks, and then we pretty much already recovered all of that drop in gold, which happened much, much quicker than I thought it would. So it kind of threw me for a curveball. Silver hasn't quite yet recovered, but we're starting to see a reversal there. I don't quite think silver is going to reverse and reclaim back all of its gains the same way gold did. But we are starting to see, people coming in and buying the low of silver there. All right, so I do think that we're going to see good year in silver, good year in gold, and that's where I'm putting more money to. So those are a couple of the longer term plays that I'd be watching. Also, even be considerable on the idea of like a play on NUGT or JNUG, as long as the gold miners set off a good year or have a good year. If gold has a good year, the gold miners will probably have a good year, and if they have a good year, We could probably see some strong reversals come out of NUGT and even JNUG. So bottom balance reversals might even be a good play to be watching on NUGT and or JNUG. Big, that I do use TOS, but at the time that I made that, I probably wasn't, but I do now, yes. Did you miss the opportunity on Disney? Will UWT cease to exist? I don't know if UWT will cease to exist. That the only time that happens is usually when, yeah, you might be right. It might actually, unless they do some sort of reverse split. It would seem very likely that that could end up becoming an ETF that is no longer even a thing. It's pretty common. I would say it's a little bit, maybe a little bit more common for, it is. It's definitely more common for leveraged ETFs to go under. I mean, that's very typical. It's a common thing you'll actually see is a leverage ETF go under. So yeah, it's possible. I would, there's better opportunity out there. No matter what, over an ETN or a leveraged ETF, shall I say, normally are just always going to downtrend. The only times they're ever going to be uptrending is when the underlying asset class that they have derivatives on or leveraged on actually has a good move. Then they'll have a good move, but once it's done, they'll resume back into their poor movement. Maybe. Yeah, I might. David, I might. Again, it's just, yeah, I might upload some when I feel the need. I mean, every once in a while, I'm usually, there is times when I'm in a trade, I'm like, oh, this would be a really good time to make a video of it. But so there has been moments where I've tried to kind of capture something live where I've been pondering the idea of trying to be more mindful of it. But anyways. All right, so now that we kind of covered on that a little bit, something else to pay attention to is also Boeing. Boeing has started bouncing pretty well here. You've already seen it go to 89 and then start bouncing. I haven't picked any up. I did mention that we were on the buy side of Boeing. I still didn't buy any. But this could have... But again, there's still a lot of uncertainty going on, and there still is some uncertainties going on with Boeing for right now. But I do think that from a longer-term perspective, you are on the buy side of Boeing. You've entered into the lower side of the channel. This is the buying side of Boeing, and that's probably why we've seen such a good kind of bounce back from the stock. So this is, again, is another one to maybe keep an eye on for a long play today. I took a small short on it pre-market. It wasn't good. I lost $20. It wasn't much, but I wanted to get my feet wet on Boeing this morning and kind of see what it was doing. But nonetheless, it's still holding up really well. This could be one that, again, you could watch on, maybe a long bias day, pick some bottoms, reversals, but it's seeing great volatility. I mean, it went from $100 to $50 in 2 days. So there is some volatility that's playing in on Boeing that could probably lead to, some potential trades on the day. I can't. I mean, no, you see them on here now. I pretty much, they're just on this chart, but no, I don't really even use those anymore. Not that they don't work or not that they're not good. I've just simplified some of the trading myself. Like this is pretty much, this right here is really all I could just trade. I could trade yeah, that's it. That's like, just this alone is pretty much all I really would need for trading myself. There are different tools that I might use at different times, but ultimately during the day, like this is pretty much all I would need to trade right there. No company should get any stimulus. They should all go out of business. No individuals, and then that's a broad one, but even individuals shouldn't be getting paychecks from the government to live on. None of that should be a thing. But it pretty much has to be a thing because of the society we live in. If we actually lived It had a responsible, good society that actually worked for everyone, and everyone could actually make a fair, livable wage. They were educated and responsible, saved money correctly, did not spend money on the brand new iPhone every time it came out, did not lease cars for a $600 a month payment with interest. Then yes, we could probably live in a system where the government didn't have to send people checks to live on. Unfortunately, that's not the case because of the route we have taken from the past to the present. And the only way to get to a system like that is to cause complete chaos and reckoning, which I don't think anybody's quite ready for. But ultimately, yeah, you shouldn't want to be looking towards a government for help to bail out companies and to bail out individuals so that they can live, because that is 100% true dependency on something other than yourself. You should always want to be dependent on yourself or your family, not a government entity. That's very dangerous. And that's where we're at, unfortunately. It would be nice if we could get away from that. I don't think I'm smart enough to fix the world's problems, and clearly our government isn't either. So I don't know what the answer is there, but the path we're on continues to lead to shit creek. So, you know, apples to apples, no matter what, it's shit creekville we're headed to. All right. Uber, yeah, we'll take a look at Uber. Uber's been a pretty good one past week or so, I'd say. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. Let's see. Yeah, so Uber, good reversal off its lower levels. You're probably late to the party if you're looking to get long. You should probably be on just the short-term sell side, more of like a neutral side of that, because you're not at a good entry point for a short. You're not really at a good entry point for a long, so you're basically just going to be entering into a market that somebody else is already controlling. So I probably would want to be neutral and just figure out how the markets want to play out on Uber for now, because if you were buying the low, you'd be in the market with the buyers. And if you started to sell this top or short this trend line in the regression, you would be with the sellers or the short market. But now you're not with either or, and you're basically just a lone wolf going in to get attacked by both players at this point. So I'd probably just be on neutral for Uber right now. Maybe actually more long bias from like a couple week perspective, but in the shorter 1 to 2 days, I would say I would be more of just neutral or more of like a short-term seller. There's no way to get around the PDT. Actually, well, so so if you guys want to hear this one, I'll try to break it down as simply as I can. Some of you guys will understand this. We'll use the last 5 minutes to explain how to get around pattern day trading with less than 25,000 without having to use an offshore broker, without having to use certificate of deposits, and while having a margin account, not a cash account. So basically telling you how to scheme the system, but not actually really scheme the system. It'll be fun, but it's complicated. Again, it's usually never an easy route to getting around the system, because you can't just take the direct route. You always have to go around the backside that ends up taking you through the woods with a thorn bush that you get scraped on, and you get a pricker in your... So it can get a little complicated, but it can be a really, really good strategy too. But it's not going to be anything you guys will be able to learn in 5 minutes. I can give you the gist of it in 5, but to actually implement it, use it effectively, that could take some time. But if you want to get around PDT, I'll tell you. All right. The other thing that we were looking at, what was it? That was a PTON. PTON. Granted, I'm not. If you ask me, it really wasn't until this whole like pandemic thing started that I could actually see a light at the end of the tunnel for Peloton. Because beforehand, it just didn't seem like a product that a lot of people would go out and spend a lot of money on. But now, given the pandemic, if this sort of world we're in now becomes anything remotely close to the new norm, I could see businesses like Peloton becoming more relevant in the future. If somehow like a stay at home, stay with the family, work remotely becomes a new norm of the future, then I could see companies like Peloton, and there's a new workout company where you put up like a mirror and then you can actually do like calisthenics. There's something like that that's close to Peloton, but it's like an actual. Anyways, so there's another one coming out. I think those could have a future. Right now, they've been seeing good bullish movement because of the situation we're in. I think Peloton is one where we might try to form, an upwards kind of bullish wedge, which means we could maybe see a push on PTON back up towards prices of 27. So we might see a little push on Peloton today, maybe tomorrow, but it seems pretty relevant. It would try to finish out this pennant formation, which means we should see a move probably back up towards the 27, 26 price on Peloton. Is CMEG an offshore broker? I don't actually know. I haven't looked. I've heard of them, never really looked into them, so I don't know myself. Matthew, no, that script isn't available. Our custom volume script, this script, our trend line script, pretty much every custom script we've built and use is currently not available. We were getting a lot of questions on them. The process that we had in place just wasn't good enough. Anyways, so they're all been taken down. I'll do updated videos on all of them in the future here pretty soon, but we are going to have them all back online on our website with more outlines and more details to alleviate traders having to pretty much ask us so many questions about them. So in the relatively short future, we are going to have it all back on our website with little outlines and videos on how to use them efficiently, all on the website, so that is all cleared up. But it just wasn't in a good format, and so too many questions, had to kind of crash the system, rebuild it, and so it's been fun. Okay. All right, so it's 8:52. We got about 8 minutes here. I'm going to use this time to discuss with you guys how to get around pattern day trading while on a margin account, on a margin account. We're not talking offshore brokers. We're not talking CFD, certificate of deposit. We're literally talking if you had $1,000, if you had $2,000, if you were under 25K, you still had a margin account. It wasn't a cash account. Pretty much, we're talking about almost every single trader on the market that has an account below 25,000 that asks the question, how do you get above PDT? This is how you do it, or this is how you would do it, sort of. You can actually use options trading, and it's not that you're going to get around the pattern day trading limit, which is 25,000. It's not that you're going to make so much money and be above 25,000 right away that you don't have to deal with PDT. No, it has to do with how you use options and trade options strategies so that you never actually use a day trade. There are ways to use options that will allow you to continuously enter a trade, but never actually close a trade. Because a day trade means opening a trade and then closing the trade in the same day. But if you never actually close the trade in the same day, then it will never actually count as a day trade. The problem that traders run into is that they get into a trade, but they don't want to close the trade in normal circumstances because then it will count as a day trade. So many times they might try to hold it overnight, Maybe they win more money, maybe they lose, who knows, whatever the case. But that's usually the problem, is that most traders will get into a trade, either they can't close it because of the pattern day trading rule, or they don't want to close it because of the rule. But with options, and the problem with that is because if you don't close the trade, you can't lock in your profit, and if you try to leave it overnight, you might be left to the unknown, and you might end up losing the profit you made. But with options, you can open an options trade, take a trade, make money, open a new option trade, then in theory, but not on paper, will close out the previous trade, lock in your profit, but not actually count as a day trade, and you can hold that profit locked in until the next day, then close out the trade, take your money, and it doesn't count as a day trade. So in the shortest terms, there are ways to use options to get into a trade, make money, open up a new options trade, which will then lock in the amount of money you made on your first trade without actually closing out the trade, allow you to hold it overnight so you don't take a day trade, and then you close it out the next day with the same amount of money or slightly less than what you had the previous day. It's an option-like strategy. It's possible. It's a little complex, but you could get there. It's not even, and I don't want to say it's a beginner thing because it's not, but there is a way to do it. And so I don't know if it's really a reliable approach for a beginner, but there is a way to do it. Okay. So again, if I could explain it another way, the other way I would explain it is, say I take an option trade, I make $500. So I take an option trade, stock goes from point A to point B, I make $500. I will then say, if I close that trade out and lock in the $500, it will count as a day trade. What else could I do? I know what I can do. I can open up another option trade that locks in the $500, because if the trade goes down from here, I'll open up another position. So I'll open up another trade, and if it goes down, then I'll make the same amount of money that I made on my first trade if it goes down. So you're basically, no matter if it goes up or down, you lock the 500 in. So if your long play goes to zero, your short play went to 500. If your short play goes to negative 500, then your long play went to 1,000, right? So there's a way to bracket it and make it work. And that's how it ends up working. So there's a way to do it, guys. There is. So yes, you are right. You do lose a little bit because you have to hold overnight. So you lose a little bit of premium, and maybe even some volatility factor. So it's not 100% that you lock in the full gain, but it is 100% you will lock in almost the full gain. Pretty much whatever the premium is pretty much whatever the premium is, the theta is normally what you're going to lose on the value overnight, which usually isn't too much depending on which ones you've picked, right? But yeah, if you had a $500 gain, you open up the next one with commission by closing out the next day, maybe you have $450, right? So options trading is taught in our Elites program by Dave Hahn. I'm not the one who teaches them. Dave Hahn does, and he's been trading options for probably about 12, maybe 13 years now. So he's very, very knows 100 times more than I ever could. Well, not necessarily, but 100 times more than I do at this point. So he is, he handles all that. Pretty much. I haven't done it in a long time, but I haven't done it in a long time, but I think what you have to do is, you buy a call, you'll ride it up to say 500 profit, and then you have to take the same expiration date, same strike, but put, and then you short or you take the put. So that way, no matter what, if it keeps going up, you'll make $1,000 on your call, and then you'll lose like 500 on your put. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. So you you have to, no, you don't do that. I have to remember, you actually might have to buy a call, and then depending on what the delta and the theta is, you have to find the opposing put that matches the same Greeks, so that if whatever moves in particular direction, the difference stays the same. I gotta ask Brandon too. It's been a long time since we've done it, but it's something around that, and I'll try to get it. I'll try to figure it out so that maybe tomorrow we can touch back on it. Yeah, maybe a future video. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's something like that, but there's a little bit. You're right. KO or Ka or Kodu. Yeah, you're pretty much spot on, but there's a little bit more to it. You could. I'm already buying the market a little bit more than what I was in December. I've increased my contributions a little bit because prices just became super cheap on some stuff. Not super cheap, but much cheaper. So I'm just averaging down, dollar cost averaging in some of my retirement accounts. But as I believe the markets have bottomed, that's where I'll throw kind of extra money. So I'm just increasing monthly contributions to some retirements, increasing monthly contributions to non-qualify accounts, and we'll be probably throwing in chunks of money as I believe we get a little bit more desirable for a buy. I think we're going to see a dead cat bounce, and by the end of the year 2020, we'll probably even be lower. That's my estimates, but I've already started buying more into the low so that if I'm wrong on my timing of wanting to add in more money, bigger chunks, at least I've been getting some of these low prices. Okay. Yeah, if you go to our website, linked in the description, you'll be able to see everything and get into the elite room. Yeah. You know, Lena, I'm not honestly too sure about that. What do you buy for for Brian? Yeah, send it to me. Oh, what do you buy for the market? I gotcha. So right now I don't think I do. I don't think I own any ET. I might. I got to double check, but I haven't looked in a long time on those holdings. I don't think I own any ETF that follows the market. I might. It'd be hard to say that I don't. I don't have SPXL. I would probably end up buying. See, that's the thing. I myself would probably end up buying SPY. I've owned XPL in Robinhood before. I'll double check my holdings. I got to look at those. I haven't looked at my holdings in a long time from a couple of my places, but I don't think I own any SPXL or SPY for that matter. But I did intend on picking some up as the market dips lower here. Last time we had a big move in the financial market. I mean, the SPY went up almost 350% from low to high. So. Alrighty, guys, you know what? We're going to call it there. It's 9 o'clock. Got to run back into the private group. So everybody take care. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next stream.